Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Perfect.
Fix some reason like there's no master thing for the whole computer to say put everything through my headset. So it's like Teams,
Yeah,
put everything through my headset. Zoom, put everything through my head. Yeah,
always.
struggle's real. How's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Doing well. Yeah, so got your resume. Took a look at that.
Okay.
Not sure. There's supposed to be a question when you sign up for the coaching, like what else you want to focus on, and I didn't see that in your contact information.
Okay, it may have asked my general thought.
It may not
So
have, so
we have we've had a tentative plan to move out of the country for quite a
okay.
while. My wife is from Venezuela. Her family was supposed to move here this year, and that's become impossible this year.
Huh. Yeah.
So they were going to come here and have their kids finish high school and then start college here. So we have shifted our plan forward a bit faster than intended.
Okay.
Our son starts college this coming year, so I would like to find work outside of the US, in Europe preferably by end of next summer. So that's kind of where I'm starting. So I figured this meeting just, I don't even know where to start with. I know what I have now, and I generally know what American companies, when they're hiring at my level, need, but I
hmm
don't know outside of that. So I assumed we'd have a handful of meetings probably between now and then, just trying to get myself in a good spot with resume and skill set and whatever I need to develop between now and then.
Sure. Yeah. Do you know where?
Yeah, we're aiming at Spain, with a
Okay.
small chance at Portugal if funds become an issue. Spain seems doable, but we're trying to pull others along with us over time. So if it gets too expensive for her sister-in-law and brother and nephews to move from Venezuela, then there's a chance we end up in Lisbon. But everybody
Okay.
speaks Spanish. I can manage as of right now, but um, yeah, I've switched to Spanish everything to finish off that education before we go because I need to be completely fluent if I'm going to live there. So I should be fine by the time we go. Um, but yeah, it's a lot. So welcome.
I do have friends in Spain that I can uh
Okay.
get in contact with. Okay. Interesting. I don't know exactly what the resume customs are in Spain, so I will have to look into that.
Yeah, I know I won't be able, the way we're going to do it, it's easier to move to Spain and get temporary residency if you're not working in Spain. So my assumption is I'll work for a English speaking company somewhere in Europe.
Gotcha.
If I can find something in the US before I go that doesn't mind where I work, then that's also, I mean, that may even be easier. I just don't know how many companies here are okay with me being in a very different time zone. So,
Um, Most companies here, so as long as you're still an American citizen, they generally will not have a big problem with it if they're okay with you being 100% remote,
okay.
provided that you're willing to work on Eastern Standard Time.
Okay. Which is possible. It'd be awkward,
Yeah.
but doable.
I mean,
Yeah.
we have people in our company that are in EMEA that work on our time. I mean,
Okay.
we got people in India that work on Eastern Standard Time, and God bless them because they're like
Yeah.
vampires.
Fair. I
So,
mean, the company I came from before where I work now was a metalworking company with
mm,
manufacturing in Israel and India and and Poznan in Poland. And so, yeah, we
okay,
all worked shared shifts. So, yeah, I could definitely make that work
okay,
if that seems like a viable option.
definitely does. So yeah, I'll put you in touch with Christina. She's been living in Spain for a long time, and
Okay.
there's at least one other good connection of mine whose name escapes me right now, but he's a Spanish guy. Christina's
Okay.
from obviously Christina, she's not Spanish, but she's from here and is over there.
Okay.
So yeah,
We
good.
have family that lives there now that'll
Okay.
help us with the non-work stuff. I ended up in, similar to Michael, that I didn't go to school for data analytics. I
hmm
just ended up there out of necessity at certain jobs.
Sure.
So it's been a slow development of skills as companies needed them. I don't have the same view of what globally companies are looking for. I just know what I've needed, at each job as I went. So it
Yeah.
makes me less confident overall.
So that, I mean, the one thing that does transcend is, message and being kind of on brand. And that's, I mean, there's a lot of little issues with your resume, but that's kind of the
Yeah.
biggest issue with the resume. Obviously, LinkedIn profile is kind of like nothing, but the so that they don't really jive, but you're not putting much into LinkedIn, so we can talk about that.
Okay.
That can be a great equalizer for you if you're abroad.
Okay.
But the thing people don't, I think, either don't realize about LinkedIn or don't like about it, and that's why they don't do it, is it takes time.
Yes.
And there's energy that's got to go into it. It's not a set it, forget it, and it just, generates leads for you.
Yeah.
Uh, it's like anything else. It's like, if you have a YouTube channel or podcast or something like that, you got to keep feeding the machine.
Yeah. And
Um,
I've had, probably to my detriment, the companies I've ended up with, I've landed in because they're old school in mindset. And so none of that's ever come into play. It's just been, I get an interview, I talk to them, and the
yeah,
conversation is what gets me there, which is nice for me, but it also has meant that I haven't needed anything else that the rest of the world is looking for.
yeah. And um, people that kind of get into uh, that mode, I mean, they do what you've done. I'm looking at, your Widia for 5 years, your Charter for 7 now.
Yeah.
Um, and so, is that by design or is that by necessity? Uh,
It's fully stagnation. The reason
okay.
I was planning on looking this year is at Spectrum now, or Charter, depending on which company they want to
Mm,
go by. The initial plan was to be there with the regional office and then move to corporate office, which is what I did. But they
okay.
moved me and two other people during a layoff. So it was the every company promise of, we can't do titles and raises right now, but that will come as soon as the layoffs are over, at just whatever. And that was supposed to be this year, and it didn't happen. So already it was on my list. I assumed it wouldn't. I had given myself the timeline. I just have not had great experience with companies promising one day, I promise.
Yeah.
They either do it or they don't. So I had already talked to my wife about, I'll start looking this year if it doesn't come to fruition. But
Okay.
now with this extra layer added, I feel like I need to be serious and segue out of this style of company that is run by the last generation, which
Yeah.
can be fine. But if I'm going to work for a
Yeah.
company that's okay with me working globally, this Charter is a communication company and they don't like us working from home. Just to put
Mm,
it in perspective, they literally
yeah.
operate the internet and are not okay with it. So
Yeah.
I need to take a step toward the next, more current company.
Yeah. Gotcha. Um, yeah. So there's certain jobs are going to see it as a strength that you've put down roots in a couple different locations. I have seen people kind of view that a little, look a bit askance at that and say, well,
Yeah,
did you,
especially in tech. Yeah,
yeah. So which is kind of unfortunate, I think, because there should be
I
room
understand
for
it.
that.
Yeah, I do understand it. My thought was is that if I stay long enough to get the title shift, then all of a sudden that 7 years isn't 7 years. It's a few years in one position, a few years in another.
Hmm.
So when that fell through, I think that changes the optics of having been there for 7 years
Yeah.
immediately. So I have been doing this job now for over a year. And
Okay.
just I was going to backdate
The
the
National Data
title.
and Reporting Analyst.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're doing a standardization and automation of reporting for the entire company. So they got rid of most regional analysts and shifted us to do that. So it went from building, and when I say building database solutions, I'm not an expert. I'm not you know, database expert by any means,
Mhm.
but I standardized our already existing SQL database with the tables and views that were needed, and added Python automation, and used Alteryx and Tableau to start standardized reporting for the company as a whole, instead of every region trying to do their own thing. So I have done it all, but I do feel I'm probably more surface level than I don't want to oversell myself, I guess is where I'm at. I'm
Okay.
comfortable with a lot, but I also know a lot of people that are a lot better at, each individual thing than I am. So
Yeah, you can't. I mean, that's a mindset issue.
it is for
You've
sure.
got
Yeah.
to get past that.
Okay.
Because nobody else, you go into an interview room, nobody else knows the dude that's in your head that's really good at
Yeah.
Python. It's just, um, so you've got to. but you're always going to be thinking of that. And if you know, like interviews, love them or hate them, they're a high stress environment. And
I
once the
en
stress kicks up,
yeah,
you start instinctively going towards your thought patterns. And if your thought pattern is, I don't know Python as well as Steve, you're always going to be
yeah.
thinking that.
No, I'm very comfortable in interviews. I do very much
Okay.
enjoy talking to people. I'm
Good.
one of the few people I know that I like that specific stress.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy because that's the one place we all get to fib a little bit and make ourselves
Hmm.
sound great. And I'm not comfortable bragging, but in that situation, we're supposed to.
Hmm.
So it is a little fun for me. I just want to make my resume, LinkedIn, everything I'm putting forward match that conversation when I get to that point instead of me feeling like I need to explain or fight off specific topics.
Okay. Um, so what are you? Like it says data engineer, but I'm not seeing a ton of data engineering stuff in the resume.
No, I sent you that one because I have a friend that works for Booz Allen Hamilton,
Hmm.
and they have a marketing arm that's non-governmental based. And there was a data engineering job that when I talked to her, she said flat out that's what they do. That's a non-senior data engineer there does
Okay.
what I'm doing. So to lean the resume that way and go. I do mostly report building. We do data analytics, but I really feel like the bulk of what I do is on the construction of the system itself. So we have a bunch of disparate data sources. They're all a mess, as data always is, and it's getting everything into one place, getting it cleaned up, doing the entire
Hmm.
ETL, and then getting it into reporting that's usable by some focus specifically to the directors, leaders of the company that's on a more, summary level, but everything else is on a very granular, usable, intraday updates kind of level of reporting. So it's a lot of report building probably.
Okay.
But all of that comes with conversations and understanding the data and what they need and all that stuff that's pretty typical to data analytics.
Okay. So if you had to write a resume today, would you put data analyst at the top or something different?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd put data analyst I enjoy, and maybe I don't know the terminology. I enjoy the construction side of it, unless it's I've had the higher level data analytics job where it was all analytics. I didn't build anything. It was just
Hmm.
in rooms discussing problems and how to solve them and all of that. I've done that side of it, but the
Okay.
construction side has been on a much more all I do is the building, not the discussion and actual analysis.
Okay.
So I don't know where those marry, where it's common. I've only had the jobs I've had.
Um, yeah, I would say like if you can't niche down, then going a bit more general in the title is fine. I
Okay,
think everybody pretty much understands that they're going to look, if they're looking for something specific, they're going to just immediately go down to your experience
fair.
and they'll just start parsing through that.
Okay,
Um, but they're not, I think people kind of overthink that a little bit just because
for sure.
they think, well, what if I put data analysts on there and they want a business analyst? Like, no, no employer, like people get bent around the axle way too hard about like what screens out your resume. Like
Okay,
very few
fair.
things that people think screen out their resume actually do. Um, so, search engine optimization is just a way for companies and people running AI to make money off you.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So anyway, but there are some kind of bugaboos. So do you want to, are you interested in optimizing your resume for the US market?
Yeah.
And obviously you're looking for a remote job. Okay. And then did you say what the timeline was for potentially moving?
The timeline is by end of next summer,
Okay.
preferably. So we have a year, which feels really tight, but there's some, well, to put it short, there's like five different options you can use to get
Hmm.
temporary residency there. And I think we already meet two of them. So
Okay.
if I don't find a job, my wife's company's global and her income is enough for me to be considered having passive income. So if I don't find one by then, it's not the end of the world. Life would be way easier if I was established somewhere before we leave so that I
Yeah.
don't have to worry about it once we go.
Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, I would, have you ever looked into working at Alteryx?
I haven't, but I am, as everybody I think that uses Alteryx, I'm absolutely in love with Alteryx because It's ridiculously good. I mean,
Yeah,
it is the tool that we use the most now.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, I would look into that. I don't. I'll check afterwards. I haven't looked at the job listings super
Okay.
recently, but yeah, I know like the instructor team alone, they were looking for somebody in EMEA. We had like a contract, like a French lady who was contract, um, and then I don't know if we had to let her go or if she chose to leave. But anyway,
Okay.
yeah, but we do. We have a pretty robust presence in EMEA, and it's a very remote friendly company.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I think that would probably be a pretty good fit for you. But
Okay.
yeah,
I didn't
just let me
realize
know.
are you associated with Alteryx?
I'll work there full time.
Okay. I
Yeah.
missed that completely.
Nope.
Michael just recommended you. He said I told him it was time for me to start looking and he recommended you. I didn't realize. So, okay.
Nice.
Small world. So I'll definitely
Yeah.
check that out.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say I'm like happy to give you a referral if you like. Um,
Okay.
I say that kind of tongue in cheek. Like I used to be money with referrals back, when I was working at Omnicom, like my word was gold.
Yeah.
Until I left, and then they took my word for a couple of people, and then they were like, "Okay, you're not. We don't know you anymore."
Yeah. That's fine.
But yeah, at Ultrix, I'm like over at this point. It's pretty funny because I mean the people that I don't endorse like just anybody.
Yeah.
So anyway, neither here nor there. But yeah, if you see something on there that seems appealing to you, I know the last time I looked, there were listings in EMEA because I was like scrolling past them, like
Okay.
get out of my way. Um, okay, is this resume seems a bit truncated.
Yes, I had this was built specifically for that Booz Allen job that didn't even
Gotcha.
show up. It was supposed to pop up and it
Okay.
didn't. So this is just the most recent work I've done. And she, the manager that was hiring was the one page or nothing kind of attitude. And
Made.
so it was very much built to a person.
Okay.
Um, but it's the most up-to-date information as far as effort I put into a resume. So I figured I'd send that one and we could start there.
Okay.
But anything you need, if me just typing out as much as I can on what I do for, literal work. I can
Yeah.
do that, whatever helps.
Okay. Um, so you just had the one before Whittier, you just had the one other job, Kenemetal, Kenemetal?
Yeah, so I worked at Kinemetal in it was customer success management
Hmm.
basically. So it was the distributor account management, and the short version is I worked my way up to the largest distributor for Kinemetal, which sells metalworking tools to manufacturing companies or distributors. And then when they bought Vidya, it's a German company that makes carbide tooling.
Okay.
When they spun that brand out in the US, they moved me from Kennametal to Vidya to handle the largest account there. And then that just by necessity pulled me into the analytics because I knew all the salesmen, I knew all the customers, I knew all the product. And all of a sudden it made sense that I just handled, they didn't have a data analyst. So that's how I ended up in data analytics. But I did a lot of higher level account management before that. It didn't pertain to what I was applying to at the other job. So I dropped all of that off, or the vast majority.
Okay. Do you have a degree?
No, I do not.
Okay. Just never just chose not to?
I actually got 2 years into a software engineering degree,
Hmm.
just past 2 years, and then Kennametal had me. That's why I left the company. They wanted me to move to Latrobe, Pennsylvania, which is you've probably not heard of. It's an
Oh, I
hour
have.
outside of Pittsburgh. Oh,
Yeah.
really? Okay. So they wanted me to move there, and I think that's
Isn't that where Rolling Rock is?
it's
There's a brewery
the
there. I know that.
Oh, maybe. It is. It
Yeah.
used to be a
I think that's Rolling
manufacturing
Rock.
town, and now it's like dead empty buildings, honestly,
Okay.
is the vast majority of the area. But the closest thing there was Pittsburgh, an hour away. And
Hmm.
after my wife went and visited a handful of times, I decided we couldn't take the kids and do it. So
Okay.
I worked 2 weeks there, 2 weeks at home for 8 months, and I
Yep.
stopped going to school because I couldn't. I was going to school here at UNC Charlotte and just couldn't. I wasn't here to go.
Yeah.
So then after I got the job at Charter, it was harder to motivate myself to finish because I already had the job. So
Yeah.
if you think it's a value, I don't mind. In my head, it's something I've always wanted to do, I've wanted to finish, but the cost, time versus um, reward didn't match up. But our
Yeah.
kids are now, my daughter's out of school. Our son is a year from being out, and all of a sudden, me spending time doing school isn't as um, doesn't make me as unhappy because I'm not missing, huge chunks of family life. So,
Yeah. So I'll like a true economist, I'll give you like seven different opinions and then let you choose.
okay.
No, it's not that bad, but I will say that much like I just did, people look for it. And
Yeah.
so, there's a school of thought that says it's a check in the box. It's an entry level, like must have. You will get screened out of certain things
Yeah.
still in 2025 because does not have fill in the blank degree.
Okay.
With extensive experience that you have, is it a deal breaker? Not most places. Most
Okay.
job listings I see now will at least have some sort of conditional, like must have degree and 2 years of experience or 5 years of experience.
Yeah.
At Omnicom, I don't know about Omnicom writ large, but at Analect, the marketing analytics arm that I worked at, we did not require a college degree for any job as far as I knew,
Okay.
but certainly not for like kind of entry senior level, whatever, kind of individual contributor level.
Okay.
Um, so that being said, I did, I did pretty much like immolate myself working on my master's degree years ago. And looking back, was that the best use of my time? No, probably not.
Yeah.
So I'd give just about anything to have the peace of mind and time with my kids and whatever else back that I blew on that thing because it didn't amount to anything for me. Who knows someday, and I'm certainly never getting another degree of any kind.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I am of two or more minds about it.
Yeah. That's where I
Um,
land all the
yeah,
time.
I would just say like with your experience and skill set, I would lean 60-40 towards like don't waste your time.
Okay.
Especially if you've got 2 more years to go. You're never going to be at the point where it's like, like, oh, I need it for this job, so let me just go burn hot. Like you can't do 2 years like that.
Fair. Yeah.
Um, but if your motivation is to get the check in the box or to qualify for the, 10 or 20% of jobs that you might now get screened out for, I just don't know that that's
Yeah.
like
It's going to be
I
a
probably
very
wouldn't do it for
personal.
that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like there was a time when I believed in kind of grinding hard on some shit that was just kind of, it's like you knew it was a good thing to do, but your heart wasn't really in it.
Yeah.
Anymore, I'm like, don't even like if you don't believe in it, why do it?
Yeah, it was
Um,
almost an optimization thing for me at some point as I was headed in the right direction, and
okay.
I thought this will give me an optimal shot. It's something I do want to do. Everybody in my family has a degree. My path ended
Yeah.
up not being that way. And so I thought that worst case, this just gives me a much better chance
Yeah.
at what I'm doing. But it's the same thing you said, as time becomes more important to me than cash, it's kind of hit a point where if I can, make 70, 80% of what I would without it, then I'm okay with that as long as
Yeah.
I, have a good job and I'm happy where I'm at.
Okay. Um, yeah, I would just say like put some juice into like, can I find something that I'm actually passionate about?
Okay.
Because that's the ideal. It's like I'm also not a fan of let me get my degree as a stepping stone to life's too short
Yeah.
for that shit too. Like seriously.
Yeah.
Like if you can find something where you're like, I actually enjoy reading this text,
Yeah.
that's worth doing. So the list of reasons why I got an economics degree is legion and super weird. But the bottom line was of the options that I had, it was the thing that I actually enjoyed studying. So that's why I did it.
Yeah.
And same thing with a master's degree. It's like, I really wanted to study it. Did I necessarily know exactly what I was going to do with my master's? Not really. Um, but but it was fun. So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'll say on that. So yeah, on the fence, I would probably break with if you don't have a burning desire to major in something, I would let it go. You've gotten
Okay.
this far without it.
Okay.
Um, okay. Yeah, so I mean, I would say if you want to take a sort of a holistic approach to it, here, I'll share my screen. Come on now. There we go. Yeah, I would recommend for sure. The resume is going to have to be. Did I? Okay,
It's popping
you're
up
just
now.
seeing the resume,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Okay. Zoom and Teams just are not at all similar. It's
Yeah.
super
I
aggravating.
We switched between Teams to Zoom to
Mm,
WebEx in a short period of time, and I've learned to hate all of them at this
yes.
point.
Oh,
It's
despise WebEx.
Yeah,
I had one client that was on WebEx, and I just dreaded teaching them.
we still are. It's the worst.
Mm,
I Anyway.
yeah, it's obnoxious. Um, yeah. So I would say. So do you have? Is this the only resume you have right now? I mean, it's not
I
uncommon.
probably got some older ones. I had two or three for
Okay.
specific jobs I was looking at, but I think this is the one I like finalized to hand to her.
Okay.
Um, I don't know what condition the other ones are in, but they're pretty similar. It's just what experience and the wording and everything that's on there.
Okay. Basic sort of resume guidance, I would just say, first of all, people fall in love with these funky two-column things. Simpler is better.
Yeah,
You
that
don't
was a
want,
specific conversation I actually had with her. I dropped the right off,
mhm,
and she was really liking it. It's funny that you mentioned it because it was a conversation I had specifically whether to remove it or leave it on there.
yeah.
But yeah,
I would just say like it's confusing to read. I mean, just straight psychologically, like when they study how people absorb information, when
yeah,
they have to skip columns or they have to kind of the more times you make the eyes go back and forth, and if you narrow the columns, you're making it, you're making that,
fair.
manual typewriter go back and forth, the more tired the viewer gets and the less they're going to read. And
Okay,
you want them to, just like a good social media platform, you want them to stay on platform reading your stuff as long as possible. So you got to make
okay,
it good and you got to make it easy to read. Um, so yeah, the layout, I'm not a fan. I like it simpler. The other thing is two columns always leads to dead space. So you see, you got this, this down here is wasted, chunk down here
yeah,
is wasted. You got these hanging dates over here, so you're wasting all this. So I mean, really, you
okay,
just, on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, you're barely using half of it with the like blood and guts of the
okay,
resume, which
fair.
is summary and experience right here. So the text right here is just, it's almost buried. Um, so yeah, underline data engineer because I'm not getting that from the experience. Um,
Yeah,
not not a fan of quantifying skills, especially with something exotic like little sliders or little like radio buttons like people use.
yeah.
Um, my
That was a
thing,
remnant originally from my first data analyst job when I shifted
okay,
to this company. I really wanted the focus to be on these are the things I've done instead of lack of degree. That was definitely a
sure,
discomfort thing for me,
yeah,
which worked at the time, but it felt dated this time because I don't even know how to put the number on at this. I mean, to your point, I don't know what number I am at Alteryx because I've been using it for ages. I know I'm not a five because I don't, design the software, but it's, one of those conversations. But anyway, I
yeah.
see your point.
Skills are binary. It's ones or
Yeah.
zeros.
Yep.
And so usually people ask me, okay, well, what do I list? I would list anything that you can apply that that you are relatively skilled at and that is relatively fresh. So
Okay.
what I usually ask people is if I gave you an assignment, let's say you come in for an interview and I say, just picking at random, Tableau.
Mhm.
You say you're good at Tableau. Oh, really, fool. Let me give you this, project assignment and you've got the weekend, here it is on Friday, bring it back on
Okay.
Monday. That's the last part of your interview. How panicked are you? How quickly are you going
Okay.
to GPT-5 to give you step-by-step instructions on how to do that
Okay.
project? If if you can take a project in that platform or that discipline and be relatively confident that with a few tweaks and some minor guidance, maybe a hit or two on Stack Overflow or whatever, you can go do it. So if I say, hey, your project for this weekend, like turn me in a snazzy dashboard on Monday morning, built in Tableau. It has to have, a stacked horizontal bar chart, just pick dumb things. A spark chart, a tree map, and I list
Yeah.
a half dozen fairly common things, but that shows some mastery of Excel, of Tableau,
Yeah.
and build me a dashboard that is not a complete headache, but conveys this information effectively. Are you spazzing or are you confident?
Yeah. Okay.
Tableau is
Fair.
probably not the greatest example, but yeah, Python's probably a pretty good one. It's like,
Yeah.
do you need vibe coding to write this whole thing for you? And would you know if it was any good once it does, or are you capable of working in this?
Okay.
Um, so that's why I usually weed out people. It's like, I'm good at these three coding languages, but then, JavaScript, I took a Udemy class once. It's like, okay, you don't want to list that on your resume because you're
Okay.
just going to embarrass yourself.
Yeah.
Um, you've got a manageable list here. I would just list them.
Okay.
Um, and then the thing that I like to see here is you've got you've got the summary up here. Make it valuable space. This right here, it's not terrible, but there's nothing concrete there.
Okay.
So what I like to see in the summary is at least one tangible accomplishment and then at least two or three hard skills that are your
Okay.
headliners. So whatever you're hanging your hat on, if that's Alteryx SQL Python, great combo. Love it.
Okay.
You know, Alteryx Python Tableau, SQL Python Tableau, all of these perfectly valid.
Okay.
But if you're saying, hey, my calling card is these two or three or four platforms, and then preferably some accomplishment where you're like, you know, I hang my hat on Python. I did a data engineering pipeline that cut manual labor hours by 60% for my entire work section of 5 people, thus saving the employer. It doesn't have to be anything
Okay.
that complex, but quantifiable results are preferable, but
Yeah.
something where you can talk extensively to a project that you had a key role.
Okay.
Preferably something you've done by yourself, but if not, it's fine. Just only talk about the things that you did and don't give credit to other people.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I should be good. The company charter's very siloed. So if they hand you a project, it's yours. And
nice.
there's yeah. So what I've
Perfect.
done, I have done on my own.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, usually the summary doesn't have to be like, an a sonnet of Shakespearean prose. I mean, it should be something that defines like what you're looking for, why are you looking for a job? What kind of job are you looking for?
Okay.
What is your kind of core identity? So where you say data professional with extensive experience, professional's okay. It's kind of where you hang your hat if you're not really sure what else to say.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I've definitely written that into some resumes, but I would say if you can be a little bit more granular than that, that's good to do.
Okay.
But kind of who are you? What do you bring to the table? So core skills, what's your key accomplishment? You don't need to like write these down or anything
Oh, it helps me
commit them
remember.
to
I
memory.
am typing it
Okay,
out, but yeah,
got it.
it helps me.
Yeah, I'm happy to give you a reference for this, but
Okay.
and I'll give you a resume template if you want to use it.
Sure.
It's can be a little tricky because it's got tables within Word. It's just how I had to set it up to get the things on either side,
Spacing.
but
Yeah.
you'll see. Um, but yeah, who are you? What do you bring to the table? What's your signature accomplishment in the past, and what are you looking for?
Okay.
Um, Everything else, people like to throw in their SEO optimized buzzwords and stuff in there. It really doesn't move the needle.
Okay.
You want it, and a hiring manager, recruiter, anybody reading your resume is going to look at that summary section and like if they looked at yours, they wouldn't read it.
Yeah. Fair.
just because they just don't see they're looking for numbers in capital letters.
Okay. All right.
So, something that indicates a platform, technical specialty, and something that indicates, hey, I did something impressive.
Okay.
Um, so that's what I would recommend. And, and less is more with the summary.
Okay.
The more you can cut out, the more effective it's going to be, whatever's left.
Okay.
Um, then honestly, if you nail the experience portion, everything else is kind of gravy.
Okay.
So even the points about, don't have big solid colors, that's another thing. Don't have multiple columns. Fairly negotiable if your experience speaks value clearly.
Okay.
Um, what they look for immediately is company names and job titles. So it's
Okay.
good that at least Charter Communications, that's a company I've heard of.
Yeah.
And I imagine most people have that are in the tech space in some form. So that's good. Name
Okay.
name company adds some wasta. Um, Recognizable titles are key.
Okay.
And like you identified, a clear progression of jobs, something that shows a reasonable rate of promotion or, professional mobility.
Yeah.
Failing moving between companies should show that, hey, this person's been promoted or they've done a lateral move or something. I haven't been promoted at Alteryx, and I'm not seeking it at all, but
Yeah.
have done a lateral move from one section to a totally different
Okay.
one. So it just shows, hey, this is a person that's learning and growing and doing different things. Um, yeah, and then so all of that is good stuff, but it's mostly window dressing right up until company names and titles. I would maybe make the company names pop a little bit more. They sort of just,
Okay.
the only thing setting them off is the italicization.
Yeah.
So maybe bold them, maybe make the font a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Can definitely, if you use the template that I use, it takes the dates, it shifts them over to the right side, uses
Okay.
the whole width of the page, and so you're not having that dead space on the left, so you can fit
Fair.
more information in there. Um, so that national date, I would put dates per job title as well,
Okay.
because that reads a little confusing with the. You had two titles at video as well? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that reads a little confusing there. It's like, okay, he's got 4.5 years at Vidya. Like, what? How long did it take you to go from national accounts to ops analyst?
Okay. And that's actually a question I have just
Hmm,
generally with this. I know that the um, national accounts team stuff doesn't directly apply,
hmm,
but I think the path at Kennametal, starting from where I started, moving through the Kennametal brand into the Vidya brand, and then continuing into data analytics,
okay.
I I personally feel like it's important, but I don't know if it really matters for somebody that's looking at me for data analytics. I cut it here. It's one or two other positions, but the same, family company. At
Yeah.
that, I wasn't sure where to drop it and continue. Yeah, so I started at Kennametal and then went from like the smallest account to the largest account and then moved to Vidya to start that program. And when I started the program, that's great because on paper I went from a $52 million a year company to, 1.5 million. So it looks weird if you don't know that it was a brand new thing that I started,
Okay.
that I do like to speak to because it's a thing I'm proud of, but it doesn't really apply to what I do now. Just the fact that I can work a project and succeed. So,
I mean, that's a tangible, if not perhaps not quantifiable accomplishment. That's a tangible accomplishment, and you can
okay,
speak to that. Now I highlighted some things in yellow here that are a little problematic, like so you're struggling with kind of powerful action verbs there. So when you say key
okay,
member there's no verb there, like there's no action.
I
And
see.
so when you say stuff like key member or part of a team that or blah 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 blah, you could have led the thing and you could have been the dude getting the coffee. That they're just. Just
Fair.
an
Okay.
endless range of possibilities there. And never mind the fact that you're giving credit to other people, and that's never a good thing on a resume.
Yeah,
So I
fair.
would just
That's
say, I mean, if you wrote this just as created videos first national account team, period, is
yeah.
that a lie?
No, it was me and one other person,
There you
and
go.
I did more than, I mean, she contributed clearly, but I was
She
the
does
head
not
of the
exist.
process. Fair enough.
These aren't the drugs you're looking for. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Fair.
would just say it adds nothing.
Okay.
It subtracts whatever the listener chooses to attribute to it.
Okay.
So when you leave that kind of vague and yeah, it was me and one other person, immediately my mind goes, okay, well, how much was you? I may never ask you that
Yeah.
question.
You just
We
think
may
it.
only
Okay.
have half an hour for the interview, and we got to
Okay.
boogie onto the next question because I asked everybody else that these 10 questions and I got to get through 10 with you. Otherwise, it's not fair.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, anytime you sort of open up a new can of worms, you risk the possibility that that's the thing that creates enough doubt in the listener's mind that they're not going
Okay.
to pick you.
Okay.
Um, and a lot of things are, I did a whole ass YouTube video about this. A lot of things, every step in the job getting pipeline,
Mhm.
right up until the final interview, is just survive in advance. There's
Okay.
no like gotta be first, gotta be number one, gotta be the unicorn. Everything else, it's like the first heats at the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you see like the gold medalists, they don't even win their heat because they don't care. That they're just interested in moving on. So they can give like a 70% effort, still dust everybody else, get into the final. Okay, now I got to whoop it on.
Okay.
Um, and so you got to think of the hiring process that way. The application, you absolutely don't have, you look at that job and it's been out there for 3 days and there's 5,000 applications. That doesn't matter at all. Like you absolutely don't need to be the best out of 5,000. You just
Yeah.
need to be good enough to get a thorough reading of your application, which means you just need
Okay.
to be qualified.
Okay.
And then, from there, you've got to get through to a phone screen. From the phone screen, on the phone screen, you basically just have to seem like a functional individual who can explain their resume because that's all they're
Yeah.
doing is
Yeah.
seeing if you're
Fair.
a liar,
Okay.
or a complete psycho. And then getting into the interview, like getting from the phone screen to the interview. That's just the recruiter racking and stacking like, hey, Peter sounds like a righteous dude and he could explain the projects on his resume. Whereas Albert is clearly lying and his whole resume was written by ChatGPT.
Okay.
They're the arbiters of that. But it's like it's a pretty forgiving cut. Then you're getting into the interview. Now suddenly in the interview, the game changes. Now you got to
Mhm.
be number one.
Yeah.
So that's the point at which you're looking for like real differentiators and telling your story effectively.
Okay.
Until then, the best thing you can do with the reading of your resume, with the phone screen, with all of that, is just to seem acceptable and qualified. And so with a resume, the game is just hit all of the wickets. Just be the guy that
Yeah.
they want to consider, not
Okay.
necessarily that, they read the resume and they hear the choir of angels and they're like, must hire Peter Lancaster.
Okay.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah,
So,
I've never thought of it that way. That actually
yeah,
makes perfect sense because they're not wasting time on that part of it at the start. That's me wasting
yeah,
time on that part. Yeah.
exactly. So they get 1,000 resumes and they're scanning each one of them 7 seconds on this one, 7 seconds on this one, because that's all the time they have. It's just, you know, are you qualified? Like,
Yeah.
did you meet the requirements for the job? If yes, if it's yes, and if they can tell that within, single digit seconds of reading the resume, cool, you win, and
Okay.
you'll move on to the next stage. Um, so yeah, things like that, like don't create any doubt as to who did the thing, you did the thing. Um, Responsible for, collaborated with, a lot of these things is just it doesn't seem like much, but it's still removing you from being the doer of the action.
Yeah, it's half
Um,
question instead of all
yeah.
answers.
So
Yeah.
when you say responsible for, you know, enacted business intelligence and analytics process for sales organization, designed, implemented, you know,
Okay.
whatever. Yeah, I mean, you got implemented right there next to it. So,
Yeah.
collaborated with sales management now, like drove business growth of, 3 million over, now when they ask you like, hey, what do you mean by drove 3 million in business growth? Well, the project was, sales management team and here was my
Okay.
responsibilities and and then like once the question is asked, now it's like, all right, now you're in essay form. And like you said, you're comfortable in that environment.
Yeah.
So at that point, you say, let me tell you what I did. And then as a team, we accomplished this, and this.
Yeah.
But still, make yourself the action hero,
Okay.
both in the interview and in the resume. Um, yeah, this one here is kind of a nothing burger, provided analysis, reporting, and insights. If you can't quantify that, that sounds kind of like a job description bullet.
Yeah,
And
that was
that's
my
sort of
first that was my first analytics, and I was offered the job if I moved to Pennsylvania. So I literally my first data analytics job was for 8 months, and I
okay,
made it sound more important than it was to start working at Charter. And then I
okay,
figured that's kind of part of why I was at Charter longer is I wanted to make sure I understood and had my hands on everything before I moved to the next
okay,
subject. It slowed me down a little there, but I wanted to make sure when I left Charter, I could say I am a data analyst. This is what I do.
absolutely.
I learned a ton at Video, but 8 months is not enough for me to advertise that I did it for 8 months. So I kind of left it timeline wise vague. I did bust ass. I was on the internet every night learning things. My manager gave
Okay,
me an opportunity to learn it kind of thing, but the actual I did pieces of it up to that point where I think most data analysts who end up in the job without, through fluid means, do it that
hmm
way. But I once I had it and that's all I did, it was a lot of what's the best method? How do people do this? How do I learn Power BI? Like that kind of I was doing it all on my own without assistance. So that is vague for um, because it was vague, but I can tie in what I did at Vidya as a national accounts team in with that and give it some more number. Because my
okay.
manager and them, they're at a different company now anyway. So if I tie the two together, nobody's there to say
Yeah,
those are
here's the
separate.
thing. Like it wouldn't matter if they were still there.
Yeah,
Like
fair.
nobody's checking your answers in an interview. Like you're not trying out for the FBI. Nobody's
Yeah,
checking your
fair.
answers in the interview and calling the boss up and like, oh, he said this word for word. Is this legit?
Yeah.
No. Um,
Okay.
if they're calling for references, then, what are they actually asking? Did he do this job title from this date to this date? Yes or no? Is he a complete piece of crap? Like, would you recommend him? Would
Arguable.
you work with
Yeah.
him again,
Okay.
basically?
All right.
That's all they're asking. Um, and then so just dialing it back to what you were saying a minute ago. We've got I know this is not an interview, and that's the first thing everybody says when I'm like, you're minimizing. Like you got to watch it.
Yeah.
Um, I know this isn't an interview, and I'm not offering you a job. There's a bit of a mindset and a communication issue where you're minimizing things that don't need to be minimized. So when you say it was only 8 months, or
Yeah.
there's a way to spin that as a positive, and there's a way to make yourself, again, making yourself the action hero and making yourself the like, hey, this was my plan all along. I
Yeah.
nailed it, word for word. And so you say, hey, my time at Vidya as a national accounts team lead, loved it. It was very rewarding. Knew all along I wanted to get into data analytics. As it turned out, I wound up with just a whirlwind of a tour as a data analyst at Vidya. I learned everything I could. I took work home. I was knocking out Udemy courses at night.
Yeah.
You're spinning it forward as a positive. And then you're like, before I knew it, the job became available at Charter and I was off and running. And it was like foremost in my mind that I didn't get the depth of experience that I really wanted at Vidya. So
Yeah.
I took kind of a more, how would I say this? Almost said pedestrian, but that's not, that's a little negative connotation. I took a
A
more
more
deliberate
intentional,
approach.
deliberate. Yeah.
Yeah, intentional works as well. Awesome. But yeah, anything positive right there. I took a more intentional, a more planned approach to my professional development at Charter. So it may look like I was moving a little bit slow. That's exactly how I planned it. I really wanted
Yeah.
to get depth of experience in this. because I felt like I needed that, um, to feel confident in the things that I was doing. And I really wanted to develop, that there's value in spending time at
Yeah.
one company. So
No,
yeah.
and to be honest, all of that is the truth. I was functional in Power BI and Tableau enough to get the next job within 8 months. And the next job, I was the newest person on the team, and the closest person to me had been there for 9 years in cable, and cable is an animal that I don't want to wish on anybody. So it was very, I mean, see, so just not to get in the weeds, but from a tech stopping in front of your house to doing whatever you needed done at your house and get back in their car, we have 174 metrics that are measured. So
Dang.
operational analytics in cable is an absolute monster. And
Hmm.
there's tech software that tracks what the tech does. There's
Yeah.
job software that tracks the job. There's node software that's tracking the actual quality of the signal coming in and out of the house. And none of them are even remotely related in format or function. So getting all of that into one place it really, this was the place to trial by fire.
Hmm.
Um, but it's an absolute nightmare. I've
Yeah.
enjoyed it and it was good for me. But I don't think maybe every data analyst feels that way, but I don't think data can get worse than the
Yeah.
cable industry. Like it really, I've learned more than I thought I would. But yeah, no, but to your point, all of that is true. And I don't mind between you and you're helping me. So I want the real picture of what I'm feeling to
Hmm.
be apparent. But when I'm walking in an interview, there's the lack of confidence is not going to show up at all.
Yeah.
I do feel good about all that I've done, and they don't need
Yeah.
to know that I questioned it at any
I
point.
would say don't. My word of caution is
Yeah,
don't get overconfident in your ability to say bullshit, but I know it's not bullshit. It,
yeah,
don't be overconfident in your ability, in your natural ability to project confidence.
yes. I
Make
don't.
sure make sure that you're rehearsing.
Yeah, and I
Um,
also go for I am an honest person and I don't ever try to pretend I'm not. So even if I want to tell a story and make myself sound good, I don't think anybody's doubting whether I'm
yeah,
if there's not a seed of truth to it that I believe, I don't think anybody has I mean, first meeting people know whether I'm full of shit or not.
yeah,
So I'm very careful on what I say, how I say it, and how I
yeah,
pitch it because I'm not a salesman in that aspect.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. Not like brutal honesty, not always the greatest attribute to have in an
yeah.
interview.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would say even talking about, again, I know we're just talking, but even talking about working in cable, you know, even saying like, hey, it was kind of a nightmare or something like that, that can be perceived as a negative. Turn that around
Yeah.
to like, hey, cable was a staggering challenge.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I even knew that getting into it, but boy, when I talk about an opportunity to really build a tremendous analytic skill set,
Yeah.
how about a business that needs 174 trackable metrics just to get, Chuck to your door to crimp some cables. Like,
Yeah. No, my last interview I had, over a year ago now, though, like my pitch for it was before when I started with cable and they're
yeah,
showing me the data and the systems they use and everything, it really was surprising to me that anybody had a grasp on it. And then after doing it for 5 years, I'm legitimately every day surprised that any of it stays functional. It
yeah,
really is. There is no rhyme or reason, and all the tools we use, we have to make it make sense to somebody within the company, or none of it does work.
yeah,
I mean, it really is. It's truly a mess in a very fun way sometimes.
yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah. Love how you express that.
yeah,
Yeah, and talking about, the table stakes in this game are just off the charts.
yeah,
And, non-performers are going to get weeded out quickly.
yeah,
So yeah, you can talk about that. Even the talking about like, hey, yeah, and you can be a little bit humorous, like, hey, I fell in on a team of like old fuddy-duddies, just people that had been in
it's
cable for like, since cable was invented, since we were like flipping channels on the
yeah,
TV. And and just be like, I had to come in and bring in fresh ideas. I was tasked with coming in and and starting the whatever the team was. Um all of those things, like, spin that into something positive that makes you the hero of the story.
yeah, and some. doesn't require as much spin, which is why it works for me most of the
Yeah.
time. We didn't use SQL when I started at Charter. They used
Nice.
Access, and we have
Okay.
nodes in just the Carolinas. It was 22,000 nodes a
Just
day
like a search
of
bar,
data.
just like
They just had Microsoft Access and they just stored the
data.
data, and it was so much that I was having to compact and repair every time I closed it, or it wouldn't
Yeah.
open the next day. So I literally learned SQL because I told my boss 2 weeks in, I was like, I can't do this. We
Yeah.
can't as a company rely on this thing opening tomorrow and hope that it still has the data that we've stored there for the last 3 months.
Jeez.
Yeah, so a lot of what I learned was necessity, and it
Okay.
was fully me dragging some of the people who, one of our team members retired at 78, two
Wow.
years ago. Yeah, she'd been there literally since cable was invented, I think. But she knew things nobody else knew because
Yeah,
when
I was
you
gonna
get,
say that was back in the days, like,
yeah,
and like only your rich uncle had cable. It was like, oh, let me go to your house. I can.
I mean, truly, it's like when you work on, I don't know if you're a car person, but like cars now are all digital versions of
Mhm.
analog systems that existed at some point. And if you
Yeah.
worked on them when all of it was analog, it makes sense what this digital thing's doing. But if you
Yep.
start now, you don't know why the hell any of this is there. And
Yeah.
she was the one that literally answered all of those questions about cable because she
Oh
knew
wow.
the thing that was there and why it was there. And now it's all
Yeah.
data. But it was actually a really, she didn't do a lot of great work at this point because she's older and moving slower and all that.
Yeah.
Didn't want to learn the new systems. Excel was as far as she got. But if there was a question about why cable is, she had the answer in 2 seconds. I mean, it
That's
really was
amazing.
why she was on the team for so long. But yeah,
Yeah. Awesome stuff. Okay. Well, what else we got here? Yeah, and then this here, so this is kind of a I don't update my resume terribly often thing.
yeah,
So this reads like a job description,
yeah. This
which
was
you don't
right
want.
after I took the new position and I
Okay.
wasn't sure what to put on yet. I do
So
actually have
you have
tangible
accomplishments now?
accomplishments at this point. Yeah. So
Love it.
I can build that out.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Mm, mm, mm. So there's this thing I always go back to, and it's a confused mind always says no. So it's
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard that, but it's
I
sales
haven't, but I
concept.
feel it
Yeah.
immediately. Yeah.
So that's what I was talking about with the, hey, as long as your resume makes sense and you look qualified, you're gonna get moved along the
Okay.
conveyor belt. Um, have you done, do you have like industry certifications for any of these platforms?
Um, no, I was actually talking to my coworker, the Alteryx intermediate. I did the basic one immediately, and I attempted the intermediate a couple of 2 or 3 weeks ago when I realized we were going to move. And
Advanced?
the yeah, the advanced and the
Yeah.
app side of it took. I haven't done anything with apps, and that completely caught me off guard. So I'm going to be doing that in
Oh,
the next
okay.
week or two. Yeah, I've gone through macros. I was comfortable with all of that, but we don't do any of the app side of Alteryx. So
Oh,
I
gotcha.
jumped into the test without looking anything into it. I wanted to experience it and see
I mean, they're
what
free
it was.
anyway.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
They
yeah, I'll
keep
have that
talking
one.
about putting a price tag on them, but it never really happens. We've been talking about that for like a year and a half now.
Yeah, they put them on the professional whatever the next tier up, and I know they even took that one down for a minute before putting it back up. I haven't gotten that far yet, but
What's that? Oh, like
the
expert?
next level of yeah,
Yeah, expert's
but
still down. They're rewriting it so that it can be like automatically graded because they were all graded
okay.
by hand.
Wow,
Um,
really?
yes. Yeah, expert and predictive master. Predictive master I've been meaning to do. It's been down
Yeah.
for like 3, 4 months now. Anyway, I think there's
Um,
like literally like 2 people that work on those.
well, I'm totally up for any certifications you think hold value. I have a buddy
Okay,
whose company required him recently to get the Google data analyst certification, but when I was looking at it, it doesn't really look like it's going to add, I don't think it's going to be the thing that,
it's not.
okay.
If you have experience, it's good if you're like, absolute beginner, fresh out of college or something. It's
Yeah, he has a
something. It's a
master's
brand
degree.
name.
I don't know why they required, it's a team of 8. They wanted all of them to have it. It was odd,
It's
but
fine. I mean, it's a good course. It's all the Google courses are good. I've taken a couple of them.
okay.
Um, it's good quality information. If you've done analytics, you really don't need it.
Okay.
Um, and it doesn't give you anything on any technical platform that's like beyond beginner level.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, the reason I ask is, because I went looking for an education section. Anybody reading your resume is going to go for
Yeah.
that. If you don't have a college degree, it's best to at least put an education section and put something in it. However, what you don't want to do is put, my latest Udemy course is, or my
Yeah.
latest, I did Andrew Ng's Coursera AI for everybody thing. Like those, everybody knows those are, point and click print certificate,
Yeah.
which Google Data Analytics is that as well. So if you're going to list certificates, certifications, what you generally want are ones that have a proctored test,
Okay.
because they know you can't. That's not an attendance certificate. Like you
Yeah.
had to prove something. Um, IBM data is okay, but you're an Alteryx Tableau guy. I would I would have an education section that has, and you can do kind of entry level stuff. Like you haven't got Tableau desktop.
No.
Okay.
Uh,
I would just pony up the
okay.
$100 and knock
Yeah.
that one out because
Okay.
I've got it and I'm not good at Tableau. I mean, it's a 40 question multiple choice. There's nothing
Okay.
to it.
All right.
I'm sure you could do it in your sleep if you're working with Tableau at all.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's what I would say is like have an education section listed. You could maybe make it like education and certifications.
Okay.
And then you've just got, Alteryx Core certified, um, Tableau desktop certified. It's not enough that it's going to move the needle. If there's a, I'm sure if there's a job out there that says must be Alteryx Core certified, obviously
Yeah.
that's a thing. But you've at least got an education section where they can look at it and say, okay, this is all he's listed. This is his education.
Okay.
So
Are there a handful of certs or a couple that you think, other than the ones that pertain directly to what I'm doing right now, that you think are of value to me at the very least to have, even if it's not something that maybe moves the needle? Okay. There's so much noise. I just every time I've looked, I'm just not sure which ones are there because the
yeah,
company's proud of it and which ones are actually, you know.
the ones that the companies sponsor themselves, they have a vested interest in making sure the test is valid and that
Okay.
nobody holds their certification that's a complete dummy.
Okay. Fair.
Now, Google is not, there's no Google product on there on the Google Data Analytics. So they
Okay.
don't really care. Google also knows that it takes freaking forever. Even if you were determined to learn nothing in that course and just click through the whole thing, it's going
Yeah.
to take you weeks just to click through it and skip all the videos.
Okay.
Um, so they know that there's not many people that are just blowing the whole thing off.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alteryx, we've got a vested interest in making sure the Alteryx tests don't certify anyone that doesn't know how to do Alteryx. Why? Because it's going to look bad on us.
Yeah.
Same
Fair.
thing, same thing, Tableau, Salesforce, like, obviously SQL, Python, open source. I don't know, maybe individual SQL platforms have like certifications. I don't know.
Yeah. Not
But
that I've seen, but okay.
yeah, not that I've seen. I mean, they're all pretty much open source anyway, so it's not like they're making money off of their brand. But yeah, Tableau, Power BI, all the Microsoft certs, those are
Okay.
all good. I would just say it's not going to trump anything that's in your experience. The far better thing you can do is like you have right there in Charter. So you got, you're using SQL, automating ETL processes, Python and Alteryx, list specific things. Obviously, now you want to put a past tense accomplishment in there, but if you got
Yeah.
something that references those platforms, that's the far better thing you can do.
Okay.
I built a Tableau dashboard that saved the company 3,000 work hours in a year.
Okay.
That's, you know, anything that
Perfect.
shows you're doing the thing to make somebody money, that's a
Yeah.
winner. If you
Okay.
pass the test too, that's gravy. But yeah,
But it's just for them to find something instead of nothing if they're
yes.
looking. Okay.
Yeah, that would be the value for me. And your professional, when did you start working? Was it like '08 on Kennametal?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it was right before the
Yeah.
crash because I started working and then the economy tanked and they moved me to Charlotte. So it was a happy accident.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, 17 years, that's you rate 2 pages.
Okay.
Um, the one page or bust people, they're kind of few and far between. Now, I would imagine you can, with only three jobs or with only three workplaces, you could
Well,
definitely,
I had one before Kennametal, but I ran an insurance restoration division at a construction
nah,
company,
I wouldn't work
but
on that.
it's got great stories, but it doesn't apply to anything I do. It's good
Okay,
for conversation, but it's not. I mean, we did crime scene flood, sewage, like all kind of wild stuff, and we're legally and insurance required to have things done, or the company would get sued for millions. It was like in that
nice.
aspect, it's wild, but it's more good for like table conversations, not, I don't think, interview.
I
Um,
mean, if you can use it, if you can use professional stories from there in an interview, that has value.
okay. All right. Well, when
Um,
I put it together, I'll throw that in there, and we can
yeah.
next time we talk,
Now
you
you
can tell
can,
me.
if something is not at all relevant professionally, I'm a big fan of if it's something that you want to show on there to show work history, just put it at the end and don't put any bullets on it, especially if the
Okay.
title is self-explanatory.
Yeah.
So if you say like, "Hey, I for the my second year or first 2 years out of high school or whatever, um, I worked at State Farm and I sold insurance." Okay, you can just list that like State
I
Farm
see.
insurance
Fair,
salesman. You didn't do anything of note as far as selling insurance,
but
and
you
now
had a
you're a
job.
data analyst, so it doesn't really matter. But you're just showing
Okay.
work history. Now I don't think you need it, but yeah, and at a certain point, you kind of get a little leery of age discrimination because they'll start doing math. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're not in that neighborhood yet. But yeah, I think showing the history that you have, it's fine.
Okay. Deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
Cool.
what I was saying was you could probably, I don't know how many specific accomplishments you have to list. You could probably get it lean enough that it's still one page
Okay.
if that's important to you.
I don't mind either way.
Yeah,
It was just
just that
the first
person's
time somebody
preference.
flat out told me that like if it's more than a page, she's gonna toss it, kind of thing, which is wild to me.
Wow.
Um, yeah, Booz Allen's a weird company because they're a very young company in feel, but some people have been there forever because they pay a
Yes.
ridiculous amount of money.
Yes.
So she was kind of clear of like this person's really good, but she's been here for a long time and she cannot waste her time anymore. It was that kind of situation.
Huh.
So if she feels like it's a time waster, she's out.
Okay.
So but again, the job didn't even get posted at any point externally, so it was for nothing. But
Yeah. They're interesting.
yeah, yeah, she
Okay.
likes it there, but I don't know. So
Yeah. It's a great company to work for. For the longest time, they didn't lay anybody off. They famously laid off zero people during COVID. I think they recently actually did have a round of layoffs in targeted locations, but
yeah, it's
um,
been weird. Just because they've made a point as a company to never alter the way they do business, no matter
mhm.
who was in office or what laws were being passed or whatever. They've been the consistency, their stability was kind of their whole thing. And for the first time, they've started like changing internal policies, because you
Well,
have
they had
to. I mean,
a
it's
they had a kind of I don't want to say trying to remember. It was like a kickback scandal or something with
oh wow,
the outgoing administration. It was
okay,
kind of very. It was just a blip on the news cycle,
okay.
but I
No, she
definitely
didn't
remember
mention
I
it,
was.
so
I remember definitely remember being very surprised, like, huh, Booz Allen really playing those games, huh? Okay,
yeah. Yeah, so
anyway,
they're still stable, but I know that she was saying that it's the general vibe with directors and up is less sure than they've been since she started. And she got the
okay.
job right out of college. So
Hmm.
it's been the only job she had to the point of people staying there forever.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah.
Oh yeah, like people at Booz Allen have no that they're never on LinkedIn. They're never
Yeah.
creating content. They're all just like nose to the grindstone and then go home.
Yeah.
So yeah, not I got offered a job there once, but yeah, it's just like, this feels too much like what I was doing before. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, cool. Okay, so I will put you in touch with. It's killing me that I can't remember the other name. Anyway,
It
I'll give
happens.
you at least one good. I'll put you in touch with Christina.
Okay.
Um, yeah, accept I think I sent you a connection request on LinkedIn. So if you can go
Okay.
accept that, that will
Will
help.
do.
I'll put you in touch with Christina. She lives in Spain and has been there for some time. Um, I will send you the resume template.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you want to work on that, if you want to, kick a draft back to me and see what I think, cool with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we could do
Um,
that first, and then I know LinkedIn is going to be something we need to focus on, and then just
okay.
I don't know what it'll take, but just I'm okay to bounce back and forth and do more meetings as we need to, whatever you think.
Okay.
Because I know it's a process.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, awesome. Well, I'll work on the resume and I'll get it over to you sometime after the holiday.
Yeah, man. Okay. And
Awesome.
I'll have some sort of output. It's been a while since I did just a regular coaching session, but I'll have some sort of output from the transcript of this one.
Yeah, I whatever you want to do. I'm this is more fluid than I intended necessarily coming into it, but I just realized I just need to tell you where I'm at and then we can
Yeah,
decide what's needed after that. So
absolutely.
it's
Love the
completely
game
fine.
plan.
All right, awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
All right.
All right. Talk soon, Peter.
Bye. Okay.
Bye.